Well, police think they know what may have sparked the horrific domestic tragedy in Douglasville over the weekend that left 5 people dead, including the shooter. They say the gunman killed his ex-wife and their children after arguing over money. Our Duffy Dixon has been following this story since it broke on Saturday and now has the latest.
Despite being divorced for 5 years, it was an ongoing recent fight over money, taxes, and child support that investigators say led to the worst mass murder that Douglas County residents can remember. 33-year-old Cedric Prather, seen here in a mugshot from a 2007 arrest for robbery. Investigators say he was actually on the phone with a friend when he entered the home on Willow Tree Circle in Douglasville and opened fire. He shot and killed his ex-wife, 33-year-old Latoya Andrews, and her boyfriend, Joseph Brown. Then he shot the children. His 2 youngest were killed, 7-year-old London and 9-year-old Jeremiah. Now keep in mind, this happened at 3 in the afternoon. Families were home and witnessed much of it. Some people tried to help.
I just got out of the chief's office talking about this case and another case, and he says he's getting counselors set up for our young deputies, or rookie deputies who've seen this.
As for the 2 children who survived this shooting, we're told 15-year-old Demisha Owens underwent surgery about 5 hours ago. At last report, both were still critical but stable. Duffy Dixon, 11 Alive News.
Such a devastating story. It seems that we've had a string of domestic murder suicides recently. So joining me is psychologist Dr. Erik Fisher, clinical psychologist, to give us at least some understanding here. What causes a person to just snap and take out everybody?
Well, I think we have to look at is when we're looking at suicide, what I always say is that people who feel suicidal, they just want the pain to stop and they don't feel like they have any other options.
But why not just kill themselves? Not that I would advocate that, of course,
well,
you would rather they get help, but why everybody else?
Well, sometimes they don't want people to live without them. So sometimes when a mother might take out her children with her, she doesn't want them to live without them. Sometimes there's selfishness to it. They want to punish the people, and because they feel the people have punished them. So we have to look at each situation, look at background history. We have to look at the relationship history. Is there a history of domestic violence? Because usually it just doesn't come out of somewhere. Right. And that's where we're always trying to do is how we can predict behaviors before they happen.
Well, we're going to get to that in just a moment. The police are saying that they were arguing about finances, taxes specifically, talking about money, and he snapped. I mean, would that be a motive? Would you characterize that as a motive for killing all the family members? Motives
that people have, again, are very spurious, and it was one piece of the equation. It sounds, all this is about power, and him wanting power, her wanting power, trying to take care of the kids. We don't know if there was a history of domestic violence with them, or we don't know what his financial situation was, what her financial situation was.
Well, when you say power, what do you mean? That he wants to have power over the whole situation?
Sometimes they want power over the situation. Sometimes they just want to feel they have power, period. Because sometimes when you have custody situations with kids, fathers feel that much of their workable income is taken and it's given to the kids and or the mother, and we don't know that history.
Well, we've just recently seen, as of last month, a mother who killed her 3 children and then herself, who was in Austell. So, is the perpetrator in these kinds of cases more often a man than a woman, or is it equally shared?
It's 90% of what we call family annihilators, where they take out the whole family, are men. And much than 89% typically are used by firearms. Firearms are usually the weapon that's used in these types of murder-suicide cases.
But there are some exceptions when it comes to people in the military.
There are, and this woman was in the military, and that's the sad thing. There's 22 people in the military or veterans a day are committing suicide.
Male and female?
Male and female, and there's an 11% rise in the suicide rates of women veterans. Wow. And that's something we really have to take notice, because these are dads and moms, and these are people who are trying to assimilate back into their day-to-day life, that they have a tough time doing that, as well as they're suffering from post-traumatic stress disorders, traumatic brain injuries, trying to find jobs and take their family, and sometimes they feel like they'd be better off without me, but maybe they're better with me, because if I go, then they can go with me.
Any signs, any precursors to this that might alert someone to get help for these people in crisis situations like this?
The military is trying to work on evaluation.
Not just military, but in general.
And in general, you want to look for history of depression. You want to look for history of domestic violence or abuse. You want to look for any changes in their living circumstance, any changes in their personality. It is very difficult to predict these things, but if we can make mental health, getting help for mental health, less of a stigma, we'll have a lot less of these problems. And that's where we as a community can help people to seek the help they need and support them getting that help they need.
All right, clinical psychologist Dr. Erik Fisher again, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.